I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
Breaking news. One of my heroes, one of the people that inspired me to want to set up a camera and get a microphone and start talking to people on the internet, but also in person. One of my heroes, Charlie Kirk, has been shot today for speaking the truth, for doing debates. We just got word 4 minutes ago, Charlie is alive and in critical condition. The AP, the Associated Press, is reporting. This was an attack by a group that I speak of every fucking day, and I have been ignored. I spoke of this in 2020, the first time I was on someone's live. He is Blanchard. Blanchard asked me, what do I see happening in the next 5 years? This was during the lockdown. I explained to him that I'm noticing the media is merging people together that normally would not be together. They're merging the black community and the gay community into one. And they're using them to specifically target straight white people and families and their children. It's spelled BLAQ and then the word army. I'm combining black and then the LGBTQ together. This was a BlaQArmy attack. Yesterday, 2 days ago, the Ukrainian woman was killed by a BlaQArmy soldier. So was the woman in the park. These attacks are coordinated. These groups of people are radicalized by the media. These are people who are gay. There are people that are trans. And they see people like Charlie, like Tim Pool, like Officer Tatum, like Donald Trump as the only thing standing in the way of them having full access to children. See, when you're talking about conservatism and you're talking about being pro-family, inherently you're anti-gay. You can't be both. What comes with the gay agenda is also the P in the LGBTQP agenda. As conservatives, we will never allow or be okay with or turn a blind eye to molestation and pedophilia. That completely puts us at odds with the left. And what did the left do? They incorporated and they brought in the black community to be their security, their guard dogs. So now you have black people who hate Charlie Kirk, and they can't tell you why because they listen to Charlie speak. They literally agree with the same thing. However, in this fake war against white supremacy, you see white men as your mortal enemy, but you can't explain why. But you're a chicken shit, you're a coward. So they typically target the women and the children who are the most vulnerable. They're scared of white men. They shot Charlie Kirk from 200 yards away in the neck. I don't pray very often because I believe in making things happen. I try to lean on God when I think things are out of my control. This is one of those things out of my control. So in moments like this, I pray. I think we all should pray. Not just pray for Charlie, but pray for our future. What happens if we lose? States like California, they've already decriminalized pedophilia. If you say the child that you're caught with is trans or gay, the waters become so muddy, they can't prosecute you to the point where you're going to have to register as a sex offender. There's a senator by the last name Weiner, no pun intended. He said that the laws against molestation inadvertently affect the gay community more than anyone else. So inherently, they're homophobic. So they were able to push back the penalties for doing so. What happens when California becomes the country? No more self-defense laws, no more property rights. And now they can legally, your child can be kidnapped by a mentally ill adult and taken to California, and they will call it a trans sanctuary. So the law enforcement in the state will not help you get your kidnapped child back if they claim the child is there because they want to have a surgery or become a different gender. In the United States right now, they see white people as being the only people of morals in this country who will defend this country and defend our way of life, who believe in Christianity and believe in the Bible, believe in God, believe in families, man, woman, and child, who believe in our republic. We have never been a democracy. We will never be a democracy. We will never live by mob rule, because when you do, you get Chicago. And where does that leave us? We're having to send in our own military to Chicago. This is a war. It's a war between two sides, and one side has no idea it's even fighting. I scream every day if you're white, if you have children that are small, when you drop them off at daycare, if there are gay employees with colored hair, they're black people, remove them. Until we know what's going to happen. These people hate you. If you're getting on a bus or a train, if somebody with colored hair or someone's black sitting behind you, don't get on the train, don't get on the bus. Wait for another way or walk. There is a war happening and you are none the wiser. I know because I'm keeping score. I'm black looking. I blend. I listen. I do the research. I live this. I report on it every single day. But I'm but a small creator. My, freedom of speech does not equal freedom of reach. I've had all my channels removed. When I spoke out against the vaccine, same as TPUSA, same as Kirk, same as the rest of us, I lost my Facebook page of 12 years. All my family photos, memories, posts, everything wiped. Just for sharing information that was verified 2 years later as being correct. I've lost my Twitter. I've lost Instagram. I've had to literally damn near learn to speak another language just so my content can stay on TikTok. I'm on my 6th page in 4 months. There's a war happening. And they see the only hurdle between where they are now and where they want to be is the straight white male in this country. So they hate Trump. They hate Vance. They hate Kirk. And they want to convince people that look like me that you are a tool of white supremacy because you share the same values as our forefathers. You share the same values and you believe in our Constitution. You believe in our country. You love our flag. You love our republic. But you can't turn a blind eye when you see what is being done. You think we're the only empire that's ever failed? You think we're the only one that's ever had enemies where others from outside have literally done everything they can to bring you down? We're not the first. But people who are not students of history are doomed to repeat it. I'm praying Charlie Kirk makes it. We need these conversations, but how do you talk to people that don't want to talk? You have to understand where we are and you have to be honest with yourself. The people that hate Charlie Kirk, they hate Trump, they hate me, they want access to children. Understand this. As the way things stands now in most of the country, if they're caught with children, they're going to go to prison. In prison, when they're outed as being a pedophile or a chomo, they're going to be killed. What does that mean? That means that everything they're doing on the outside is really them fighting for their lives. In a way, them attacking Trump, attacking Kirk, doing all these different things, all this violence, all the manipulation, they're trying to save their own lives because they're not going to live if they go to prison. So what do? They have to fight to change the laws or to suppress the people that will speak out against them and raise your awareness. Remember, until the lockdown, you had no idea your teachers were grooming your kids to be gay in a few years. You had no clue until the lockdown when parents started finding out what was going on behind their back. Imagine what else is happening that you're not paying attention to. Well, you don't have to imagine. You can show up and you can tune in to Charlie Kirk. You can listen to our president. You can watch Tim Pool. You can tune into my channel. They call it alternative media, but what it really is just journalism. There is no more journalism on mainstream media. There's us. People who are doing this because we care. Not because we care for ourselves, but we care about tomorrow. People, we have families, we have children. What world are our children going to live in? Will it be what I lived in when I was a child? That's what I would hope. And people with no kids are trying to convince me that, well, the way of the future is to get your children to be accepted to being gay. And they should want to date people of the same gender. And they shouldn't want to have kids. And they should want to be just all the... We're fighting against that every single day. We have Charlie Kirk shows up to these schools. He does these debates. Every single conversation is opening the mind of people who really had no idea that you could actually think and question and go in a different direction. Basically, he's fighting against the grooming of the LGBTQ. The grooming that tells you if you're white, you're evil, you're racist, you're an oppressor. How the fuck can you oppress someone in a country where there's airports and airplanes? If you feel oppressed somewhere, you can leave. Oppression is when you're locked and you're forced and you're stuck somewhere. You're not stuck here. You can leave. But instead of leaving, you'd rather die or in prison, because instead of evacuating to somewhere that's better off for you ideologically, you'd rather use a weapon to shoot a man for speaking. So you're not a constitutionalist. You don't believe in the values of my country. You don't believe in free speech. You'd rather cut out his tongue. But instead of using a knife, you use a bullet. Is it symbolic that they shot him in the neck? We don't know. So far, there's so many trolls on all these posts. You have no clue if Charlie Kirk's even still alive. Tim Pool reporting from AP. Tim Pool's a trusted source. I believe him more than I believe any of these trolls. You look at the names of the trolls, you can tell they're all gay. Gay adjacent. The BlaQArmy foot soldiers are laughing. How do you call a man a bigot who hosts events for tolerance and talking about equality amongst American citizens and men? Telling people that they don't have to feel less than, that they're actually more than, and that they're actually in control of their lives. They're not slaves to no one. They can do whatever they want. You have people like Brandon Tatum that show up to these events and talk to you. But again, these are people that have mental issues. They can't change what they are. They're monsters. Monsters die in prison. They're trying to do what they can on the outside to prevent them from going to prison. The people that are pointing things out and helping change society, where society is becoming back in line, where people that harm children go to prison instead of getting treatment and being allowed to keep hurting children. We're literally bringing our country back to where it should be. Corporal punishment for people that harm children. They passed it in Florida. It should pass in the rest of the country. People like Charlie Kirk is explaining that to the public, and then the public explains that to the people they're voting for and lets them know what they want. They have to remove people like Kirk. They have to silence the president. They have to try to tell you Tim Pool's this and that. They have to tell you that Brandon Tatum is this. But these are important people because they're able to speak to you in a way that you understand, that's simple and clear. Why do you think they hate Candace Owens? Why do you think they're mad at Trump when he tells them, I want to send the military in to stop the death? It's because the people that were fighting, the people, the BlaQArmy that attacked Kirk, they want people to die. They don't want death to stop. They want us dead. Remember, they are people that have no children, so they want yours. They have no families. They have no spouses. They don't care about tomorrow. But they have American citizenship because they were born here. But mentally, they're somewhere else. Those people live a very sad and lonely life. And nobody wants to die alone, so they want to take us with them. I've explained this over and over again, the rationale behind how these people think, because I've actually asked these people how they think. I've spoke to them in nauseam. I listen to everything they say. I read their literature. It's a death cult, and they don't want to die alone. It seems like everybody they're considering is a marginalized group is down for the cult, and they're down to die. And the only people that are trying to talk you out of basically killing yourself, sterilizing yourself, mutilating yourself are straight white Americans or conservative Americans. We're the only ones trying to talk you off the ledge. But that's antithetical when there's a death cult and a depopulation agenda. You can't have people trying to keep you alive when everything is trying to kill you. You have to get rid of the one. So they look to silence you. Kirk is my hero. He's brave. He goes in front of these people, thousands of them, every single week. And he just speaks, he talks. Most other people have already given up on these people and we've moved on. We focus on ourselves and our own families and our own children. But you got to understand what kind of world, once your children leave your house, what they're going to be walking into. You cannot just depend on other people to shape the world that you are going to be sending your children into. You have to be also involved in molding the world. Not for yourself, but for the future generations of your family. You know, they say brave men plant seeds for trees that they know that they will never enjoy the shade under. By the time that tree is large enough to provide shade, the men who planted them will be long passed away. When you're doing things for tomorrow, but you're literally going against people that have nothing to live for besides today, you cannot let your guard down. We are not in Kansas anymore. Oh, man. Nick Sorter. Breaking. Charlie Kirk is reportedly stabilizing, but is still in critical condition after being shot at a Utah Valley University. You know, I've been talking to you guys now almost 20 minutes. Half of that is because out of fear of scrolling down my timeline on Twitter and seeing something bad or something negative about Charlie. I can tell you this much. I do branch out and I have these conversations with people in person. I do it in Houston. I do it here in Arizona. I'm going to do it more. No more of me just sitting on the sidelines, hoping someone else is going to do what I was called to do. Hoping that someone else is going to say what I want to say, what I'm thinking. Hopefully someone else is going to be better at it. They're a better speaker than me. They're more presentable than me. They have more time than me. Or maybe they just, you know, what am I afraid of? Getting killed? They killed the Ukrainian girl on the bus the other day, the BlaQArmy. What do you think they're not coming for us anyway? You think I can sit in my house and how long is that going to just delay the inevitable if they're coming? But we get out there and we fight and we talk to other people. We can stop them. This is a war. It was declared upon us years ago, and most of us were none the wiser. We're living our daily life knowing that there's not even realizing there are monsters all around us. And now the monsters are so brazen. They'll strike and kill us in broad daylight. They don't even care if there's witnesses anymore. Because they don't care if they get caught. The legal system has their back. Is prison even punishment anymore for most of these people? I heard it's so comfortable. That's why they keep going back. Man, this is amazing news that he's stable, at least stable for now. It said it was a shot that there was a lot of blood lost, so that means they have to stop the bleeding. to do blood transplants. That's why he's stable. Hopefully there's no other arteries or organs that were damaged. Hopefully there was only one shot. We need Charlie. Him surviving today symbolizes the American spirit in the fight. But even if he passed, he's a martyr. Whether he lives or whether he passes away, my life changes today. I will be more active. We'll be doing more events. I've had dreams of returning to Arizona so that I could go up to the TPUSA offices and volunteer. And God has put me in a position where magically I just happen to be back in Arizona. I love Texas, but Arizona's the front line because we lost Kerry Lake. See, we have Greg Abbott in Texas. They don't necessarily need me there. But I can talk to people. You know, I make hundreds of these videos. I don't know, like I said, it's a small channel. I don't know how to promote myself. So I just make these videos and I have hundreds of them. Talking about this exact topic, telling people who's next, who's going to be the next white victim of the BlaQArmy. And every single day, they're just piling up. But I saw somebody use my hashtag a few days ago. Well, first they said they checked it and they've been seeing all my literature about the BlaQArmy where I explain how it was created, when it was created, what it consists of, and who to look out for. Bald black women, gay black women, gay white men, gay white women, trans people in general. But you think that they're white or you think that they're black, but you don't realize they're a part of a separate group. So when they're talking like they're speaking for your community, putting you at odds with another community, they're not. They're sabotaging you. They're really actually a part of a third group, the BlaQArmy, that LGBT black mix. There's a whole separate enemy that nobody even knows exists, and I'm one of the only people that have been talking about it. There've been others. They've used other terms, but mine was the one that stuck. And now people know how and what to identify. I made a video yesterday asking if pattern recognition is racist. If I walk into a room and I see people with hoodies on, you know, dress, trying to basically cover their identity, and people with pink hair, different color hair, or, you know, in there, am I going to just let my guard down and think that this is a safe space where I should be, or I should just let my children walk in there and sit down and have a seat and think that they're going to be safe? No. Because I'm smart enough to understand that there are dangers in that room and I can clearly identify them. To ignore them, they will consider tolerant. Because to recognize them and to acknowledge them will be considered racist. But would you rather be a dead, tolerant person or a racist person still alive? If you think about it, the woman from the Ukraine, if she was racist, she'd still be alive. Racism does save lives. She would have seen the threats on that bus. She was the only white person in the back of that bus, surrounded by people that were born and bred to hate people that look like her. Even though, since she's Slavic, being Ukrainian, she's technically a person of color. But you think any of those people on that bus care about technicalities? You think they give a shit? No. They just saw the same thing that the people who donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Carmelo Anthony when he killed Austin Metcalf. They saw a black perpetrator harming someone white on their behalf. And they celebrate. And they compensate. But you want to tell me there's not a fucking war? You want to tell me there's nothing going on? I'm making this up out of thin air? You're delusional. You're putting everyone in your family at risk by not talking to them, not sharing these videos. You know, I believe in God. I didn't always. But there are certain things that can't be explained. And God is the most reasonable answer. They tell you that science wants you to believe you're just a speck of sand on an infinite beach called the universe, and that you're nothing. It's an insignificant speck. in the vast expanse of nothingness. I don't believe that. I believe we're more than that. And there's less of us than we think there is. We're special. We're unique. But our way of life and the way of life of our enemies cannot coexist. I keep telling people separation is the only answer unless you want to go to war and euthanize your enemy. The cleanest, simplest thing to do will be to separate. If you feel oppressed, if you feel marginalized, then leave. But why would you fight to die for somewhere that you hate? It doesn't make sense. Leave. Instead of shooting Charlie Kirk, leave. Stay alive. Why go to prison? You think the United States is the only country on earth? There's somewhere else better for you. You live in Chicago. You want to have the freedom to kill other black people uninterrupted. I'm sure there's places in Central Africa, in East Africa. I'm sure there's places where you can move, where you can literally kill and do whatever you want. There are no crimes. There is no Trump president. There is no Charlie Kirk speaking to the masses. You don't have to be here. I want you to stay alive too. Instead of waging a war with the police like those idiots in the Black Panthers did, instead of the Black Panthers, they had the resources and they had the government. That's how they set up WIC. There was funding for them. They could have staged a mass exodus for their people out of the projects, and they could have made colonies and moved to Africa. Other ones moved to Israel, and they started up colonies. Hundreds of thousands of people. The Black Panthers could have organized, but instead, a few dozen of them said, you know what, instead of organizing our people to move somewhere else and restarting because we don't like the way things are here, how about we just go to war with the police and they're going to just kill us, and then the ones who survive, they'll go to prison forever. So you got to look at your leadership and you got to ask yourself, are they fucking morons? Whoever's leading you, or maybe you're leading yourself, don't be a moron. Don't go to prison. Don't get killed by police. Leave. Don't shoot Charlie Kirk. Don't come for Tim Pool. Don't swat people. Just leave. Leave. That's how humans lived forever. If we lived on a lake 1,000 years ago and the lake dried up, did we just sit there and complain all day about how the lake used to have water? No, we migrated until we found somewhere that better suits us. We look for greener pastures. We don't have to fight and go to war. If you want war, and once enough people like me accept the fact that we're at war, then the war is over immediately. We win. You lose. To protect our children and our women, our wives, our families, the amount of violence we are capable of will be more than you can imagine. You're doing this because you have selfish needs. You battle with jealousy and envy of the white American family. I don't. I had married parents that I was born into, a married family. If you weren't, you feel like that's what you were missing, and that's why you feel these other people are ahead of you because they didn't have what you have. You didn't have what they have. But your envy is going to get you killed, and you should do the smart thing, put down the weapons, put down the guns, and leave. Leave. Hopefully there's some other reports on Charlie Kirk.
We have some breaking news from Utah. Speech by right-wing activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University in Oregon. This happened really just moments ago. Kirk was about 20 minutes into his speech, which
say three things that I know are true about God. I know he lives. I know he's not neutral. And I know he protects us. If you know that God lives and he is not neutral and that he loves all of us, he is our dad, something good is going to come of this. It always does. It always does. I don't know how, but something good and glorious is going to come from this. Because God is not neutral in the affairs of man, but neither is Satan. Neither is the darkness. That is real. And we are battling that. And the sooner people understand that you are not fighting flesh and bone, you are fighting evil, the sooner we'll be able to dismiss evil and go back to God.
I want to share with you guys some of the stuff that's being shown, or some of the sentiments from some of the people, and this is one of the reasons why we have to be careful. And I went to X, formerly known as Twitter, and this is from Rolls the Homie. Says, "I hope Charlie Kirk rots in hell."
When I tell you that there's something called the BlaQArmy, look at this person calling themselves Rose the Homie. Rose is obviously a man cosplaying as a woman. What they do is they mix talking points from the black community and they tie them in with their views on being a pedophile and being trans and gay. So that way they get the sympathy of the black community, but they also can expose their own personal goals. So they'll speak about genocide and white supremacy and racism, all while they're white themselves. But then they'll also add in their tolerance for LGBTQP. And what they're saying is that they don't want you to send them to prison for touching children or harming kids. You got to understand, 50 years ago, when you were caught diddling kids, or even if you get caught with kids molesting kids today, a straight white man in a uniform is going to come take you to prison. There's no one else that's coming. A straight white man in a uniform. They see straight white men as the number one threat to their existence and their way of life, and also to their life in general. Because again, they know once they go to prison, they know what happens to pedophiles in prison. I try to understand how many people in our population are pedophiles. The voting base of the population of pedophiles in this country, I believe, outnumbers that of both political parties. There's a whole subsection of people that secretly have this sub way of life, and we don't even know how many they are. But I can see that their support is extreme, and they see straight white men as being antithetical to their goals, stopping their goals. And their goals is to be able to have children, access to children, uninterrupted. You know, when the Democrat Party came to the gay and the black communities, they made offers. They told the black community, we will decriminalize crime. That's what the black community wanted to support the Democrat Party, the leaders in the black community. And they talk about it openly. We're going to change the definition of crimes. That way the statistics don't show that there's crime. The only way to make the statistics go down is by reclassifying what crimes are actually crimes. But when it came to getting support from the gay community, they promised them access to children. So you don't have to travel for sex tourism for children anymore. You can actually do it from the comfort of your own home in your own state. But it's going to take time, and they're going to need your support, and they're going to have to muddy the waters. That's why they want to call these kids trans. If you're a transgender, then you can be trans age. If you're 50 years old and you're getting caught with a kid, but if you're 50 years old, but you tell the police, I'm actually 12. I'm just in a 50-year-old body. But the kid you're getting caught with is 8. But they say they're in the 20, but actually 23 in the 8-year-old's body. The police, depending on what jurisdiction you're in, the waters are too muddy. They don't know what to do. And then you're called a bigot if you arrest these people. They don't want to arrest too many black people, even no matter how many black people are committing crimes, because too many black arrests will make them look like they're being racist, even if all the criminals are black. Fear of being deemed a racist. Fear of being seem like you're targeting, profiling, profiling and pattern recognition are the only things that are going to save us nowadays. Now, I don't know how Charlie could have identified this threat, but and then think about it. If you put up bulletproof glass, it just gives off an image like you know that you're a target. You don't have any fear. You don't actually believe in God. If you believe in God, you should believe that He's going to protect. Those are people that are mocking religion. They're mocking our faith. They're mocking our beliefs. No one said that God's a superhero that's going to come down and stop bullets. What we're hoping is that God will help you be able to change the minds of others by just hearing the word. And it does work, but there are those who are beyond reproof. They're beyond help. There's nothing you can do about them.
This is the type of stuff that y'all battling against. This is the type of stuff that y'all battling against. And I know I got to censor it because, you know, I don't want to actually show the actual shot itself. But that's what they're saying. They're saying that I hope Charlie Kirk rots in hell. That is the sentiment of people that are on the left, that are willing to have a man be taken away from his family Glenn Beck just said that Charlie Kirk has a pulse. So evil, bro. It's so evil, bro. People are evil, bro. Betting Profits, for example, says, well, 100% he was white. Charlie Kirk got killed by a white man. And then he hits us with the laughing emojis.
These people are evil. They're evil. And they want you dead. Let's refresh and see if there's any updates with him. Charlie Kirk was scheduled to debate progressive influencer Hassan Piker at Dartmouth College on September 25th. On his Twitch stream, Piker reacts to the news with horror, urging some of his followers to stop making jokes about the shooting as he expressed fear that he could similarly be targeted. This is a terrifying incident, Piker said. The reverberation of people seeking out vengeance in the aftermath of this violence, abhorrent incident is going to be genuinely worrisome, and he is correct. I think now more of us are going to understand that this is a war. I walk around wearing a red MAGA hat in my videos, but I wear this in public. But I'm also a man of size and stature. Only one gay black person had something to say to me at a bar in Houston, and that conversation was short. Because I am not Charlie Kirk. I'm not Brandon Tatum. I'm not Tim Pool. I'm not a pacifist. I am not your friend. I'm the kind of conservative that makes sure other conservatives are still around to speak. I'm not here to be pushed around or pushed over. But it's it's un-American to not believe in self-preservation above all. That is one of my core values and my core beliefs. I'll leave it at that. But if someone has a drop on you or they're trying to snipe you from hundreds of yards away, there's not much you can do. But sitting in the house and just watching everything collapse is not an option for all of us. Some of us want to do something about it. People don't understand the power of your words. What they say, the pen is mightier than the sword. Our words, our videos, they affect people. They change people. They change how you look at things. Charlie Kirk changed me. I want him to be around to change others, but I want others to also see his sacrifice. I want us all to feel the sense of debt that I feel for Charlie. I feel like I don't just owe Charlie, I owe the movement, I owe my country, I owe my president. See, I know the consequences of what would have happened if Trump didn't win. I know where the country would be right now. I'm grateful every day when I wake up and we're not there. Why did Tim pull off? Reports are Charlie has died. I want to get more confirmation of this. Let's look for some other confirmation. I don't want to just listen to Twitter. I need to see if somebody else is saying that he passed. Initially, they're saying he had a pulse. They're saying that he was in critical, he was stable. Nothing on YouTube yet about him passing away. This is on Tim Pool's page. If you speak out against evil, expect to get shot. These animals, these monsters are threatening us to our faces. And the difference is they're making good on their threats. 47 minutes ago, he's in critical. I don't know if this is 100% accurate or not. That he passed.
He's passed. Yes, is this what I'm hearing? Yes, can I get it here? Yes. 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 Wow. Right here. Right here. We're at this moment, guys. Let's go around the horn, Gina. Continue on the horrendous news that Charlie Kirk has passed.
So my prayers are for Erica, for her children, for his family. This is beyond devastating, Eric. I know Charlie, as I said, since he was a child, running around
Coming to conservative events.
John Solomon's reporting on Just the News that he's passed. Yes, is this what I'm hearing? Yes, can I get it here?
Our president is reporting it, that he passed. This is a bad day. But they want to fight. Give it to them. They want a war. They want us all dead. They don't want to coexist with us either. They only want you so that you can have children because they can't. But they need you to make children That's the only good you are to them. You want your children to be for them. They do not have any other use for us. We watched our enemies emerge today publicly. Charlie Kirk was assassinated today. I never thought I would be saying this. I mean, I know there are inherent risks when I go out and do these public events, when I go speak to groups of people, talk. But I'm also armed. I live in states where you're supposed to be armed. I wasn't in Utah, but even in Utah, someone shoots you with a rifle from my hero in the movement is gone. But none of us are lost. Charlie guided us. He showed us the way. But we're going to have to be more vigilant. We're going to have to stay dangerous. It's a dark road ahead. And not everybody is made to make it to the end of the road. We are not going to be able to coexist in this space together, which is unfortunate because for years we've tried. I can't believe he's gone. I never met him in person, but I loved him. I remember watching him when when I first started watching him, it was him and Candace Owens on stage. I remember he used to go running a lot. And they would talk about how he would run miles and then go to the events. And he's a hardworking man who believed in God, who believed in family, who believed in his country, who believed in freedom, who believed in our Constitution. Charlie Kirk was a patriot. We love you, Charlie. If you guys want to keep up with more of my future content, please follow me on YouTube, Right Wing Rico, the single boyfriend. I don't know if I don't even know. I don't even want to call anybody. I don't even know what to say or how to talk about this. This is, and then you got to give the internet a break. There's nothing but trolls on there, evil people. And you see them trolling Charlie today, but they'll be trolling you tomorrow. They're trolling the Ukrainian woman. They're trolling anybody who's white. But they'll turn a drug addict like George Floyd into some type of martyr legend. So just remember, it's Kirk today, but it's you tomorrow. And the question is, though, what are you going to do about it? You have to do something. But I think this is going to create 1,000 more Charlie Kirks. There will be more of us talking. The spirit of fear is anti-American in itself, so we don't have it. That's why we speak. That's why we show up to these events, and that's why we talk to people in person, and we talk about our views on the internet publicly, because we do not live in fear of our enemies and what they're going to think about us and what they might do. Yes, they did assassinate Kirk, but they also assassinated JFK. They assassinated Martin Luther King. Assassinated Jesus. We've had enemies for a long time. This is unfortunate, but it's nothing new. If you want to know who your enemies are, go read the comments. And then take that information, absorb it, disseminate it, think about it. But don't become passive. Don't brush it over. No. Take it seriously. Every single comment, Every single threat, take it seriously. Because you're next. Your children are next. Just can't believe this is happening right now. I'm sick to my stomach. My head hurts. We love you, Charlie. We're gonna miss you. I just can't believe this could even actually. You know, my goal was to eventually get to meet him. I wanted to go to a TPUSA event, but I just kept pushing it off. Maybe next week, maybe the next one, maybe expecting somebody else to do what I should be doing myself. I will do better. We'll be more involved. I mean, they're coming for us all anyway. We have nothing to lose. God bless you, Charlie, and we love you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.